The other one's like, sure,
Yep.
that's our prep.
So my mic was muted, so we always start off technically wrong here. So now hopefully you guys can hear me. I think you guys can hear Sean now. So
Oh my God. Hang
so we're just starting out now. Um so
on.
let's rewind. So we're gonna do a show. Obviously, we're here. I see people trickling in. So welcome to our indie dev life, I guess you should say.
It's funny. This show is a good, I guess, example of indie dev life, right? You think you're doing something, you think it makes sense, you have no plan, and it just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, you go through, me, I go through my ups and downs, and I'm at a point where I'm like I'm in limbo. I've been here many times where I don't know what to work on. I saw that the guy who's making Ryan, he's making
Ryan,
who
yeah.
made Sunday
Chopper game that I'm
Rivals.
gonna steal.
Yeah, he's making a chopper game now, which is cool. And I guess we're going to talk about game ideas. We're going to discuss like what we think are viable options for indie development studios. And we're serious about our studios, and we're trying to really make this our full-time gigs. It's been my full-time gig for a while now because I've just plummeted off the face of the earth, and I'm just trying to make to make a game successful. And if this game
Yeah,
that
you
I
burn the
made,
ships behind you.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
I did. And it's scary, it's scary. And when you look back at your how much money you basically lost, I mean, it's pretty
Yeah, don't
depressing.
do that. That's depressing.
It's horrible, man. I mean, I tell you that. I mean, every day I'm like complaining to you. Like I'm like, man, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to. You're like my therapist, and you're probably like, dude, just get a job.
It's funny too, because like I remember the desktop dynasties days when I was doing that, and even before that when I was doing my tech sims, WigFL and WigBL. Um, like I just remember that too. It's like you kind of release it. Back in the day, it was way different, but you release it and you don't make any money, and then you realize, oh, all these dreams I had of being rich and building a new house off this, I have to adjust to, can I make enough money to pay rent and get food?
Yeah, it's crazy
And it's
because
it's tough. It's a tough lesson. Yeah.
yeah, it's just crazy because you think about like all the work that we put in, and I know work doesn't totally like translate over to revenue, but like for Legend Bowl, like whenever I look at games, I tell you this all the time. I mean, not all the time, but I told you this the other day. I'm like, I'm going through the process right now where Legend Bowl's being ported over to consoles. Hopefully, we get there. We'll
Yeah.
see how that goes, and
I
then
can't wait for that. That's gonna be
yeah,
cool.
I mean, I'm excited about it, but I get down sometimes because now I'm in the middle of this like, what do I do? What do I work on? I can't work on Legend Bowl because we're trying to maintain the code and not really add new things to it. And I am trying to figure out what game to work on. And I feel like people say do game jams. They say just make prototype
Yeah.
games. And I know that you like to do that a lot, and it's good practice, and it gives you like repetition, and just it gives you like ideas, and you kind of see what works, what doesn't. You learn some new things. But like I also feel like if I don't do anything and I sit here and think, I'm not like, what's a waste of time? I guess at the end of the day, like I could sit here for two
Yeah.
months and not do anything, or work on five prototypes that do nothing. I probably would have learned from the prototypes too. So I don't have like an answer. It's
Yeah.
just because you're working doesn't really mean that you're
Doesn't
progressing.
mean you're getting anywhere, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the
Yeah.
part where I'm struggling because I can go right now and make a chopper game, or I can make an airplane game, or I can make a shoot any type of game you can think of. I can start working on it, like I did the golf game, and then I look back and I'm like, well, like I learned a few things. Do I remember any of it? No.
Yep.
Is it going to turn into a final game? Probably not. And I think for this video or this stream, I know that I want to talk about like what makes for a viable game, or like what should an indie development studio do as their plan and their strategy to try to survive and try to make games for a living, and make enough money to survive.
Yeah. The prototypes thing is tough too, because I mean, I was doing that for quite a while after Desktop Dynasties 1 and after my break after that. I wanted to get back into it. And so I started DD2 and the 3K project and all these other football games. And I just kind of got burnt out. So I was doing these prototypes, but what you had said is almost exactly what I saw too. Just by doing these prototypes, yeah, you might pick up a thing or two or learn a thing or two. And I learned a few things and it was kind of fun, but there was no real direction, right? I was just trying things. Like I had the battle game. I did a questionable heroes prototype that nobody saw, but it was a game that it's like this grand game that I'm eventually going to make someday. Um, I did a golf thing. I did just a bunch of stuff because there was no direction though. It's almost kind of like that was wasted time. Really,
Hmm.
like what you were describing. I did a lot of work and I didn't really make any progress. Um, so it's tough because you want to keep working, but you also don't want to just work to work, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like like my game, like Legend Bowl has done like. If somebody looks at Legend Bowl, they can say, "Wow, you've done very, very well." But when you look at what you actually bring home, it's not going to make you you can't make a living from just what I have right now with Legend Bowl. And
Yeah,
if I go to I mean, the idea is if I go to consoles and I can get the kind of revenue that I'm hoping to get, that's where, that's where it could make, but going back to like how you do things, and what makes sense if you think about it, it's like, here's the bottom line, that here's like the basics of it, or whatever, the fundamentals. It's like, how much time are you investing? How much money are you investing? And what does your return need to be to make
yeah,
that time and resource and money investment positive, right? Or a good
yeah,
return. So like I took way too long on Legend Bowl. I know I took way too long. I know I tried to make the best game I could make. I kind of just like crawled my way through learning how to make a game and Game Maker, and I got to where I'm at now. But if I look at how much time I spent, I have to make a lot. I have to make like $2 million before all the taxes and all the,
yeah.
the fees, and paying a
Fees and
publisher,
cuts and
paying a
things like
storefront,
that.
right?
Yeah,
To make it like anywhere near what I could have made at a regular job. And trust me, I wasn't making a crazy amount of money. I made a good
yeah.
amount of money. I mean, I have degrees and I worked in IT and I had a decent job, but I need to make like $2 million. Like that's like,
I
and
know.
people like, you're crazy. You're never going to make that, but that's what you have to
The take
make.
home after that is surprisingly small.
Right. For 5 years of work. Now, if I would work
Yeah,
for 6 months, maybe I only have to take home like 100 grand, or fit. No, not a
yeah,
hundred, but like before the taxes, maybe you make like 80 grand and maybe you bring home like 30 when you're done
yeah.
with your taxes and all the cuts. So it's like, but what kind of game can make, and that's probably the better approach to take. And I'm starting
That's
to
a
think
tough
that
one
more
too.
often.
Yeah, we were talking about this for the last couple of weeks. It's about consoles specifically, right? Because you're coming out on consoles, and I'm really, really interested to see what the numbers look like when you finally get there. Because I obviously the one that I'm making right now, Cyber League, is basically made for consoles too. Um, but I'm starting to debate myself of whether that's the right thing to do for somebody as small as like me or you, because everybody keeps saying the same thing. Like you watch any videos about indie football games that are coming out or people are working, and you look at the comments, and everybody's talking about consoles, right? They all say the sports game is on consoles. But if you really look at the sports games that are on consoles, the triple A's versus the indies, and the sales, and the comments when indies do go onto consoles, and like the thing that I talk about all the time, they always say, well, you need to get this on consoles or I won't buy it. So you get it on consoles, and they'll say, well, this has to have franchise or I won't buy it. And you have some sort of franchise, and then they say, well, this needs real NFL teams or I won't buy it. And after a while, you start to realize the people who are playing sports games on consoles, I honestly don't know if they support indies, if they're just AAA. So like the typical Madden player, right? That's on consoles, right? The $1 billion a year industry that Madden is. None of those guys are going to buy an indie game that doesn't have NFL players and doesn't have like Madden Ultimate Team. Like none of they say they will, but they won't. And there's been plenty of in football games on consoles by indies that go nowhere. So I'm
Right.
starting to wonder if when people say the market for sports games as consoles. What they're really describing is the market, console market is exclusively AAA, and those people aren't going to buy indies. But because so many people buy AAA, that it almost gives you this false impression that there's this pile of money out there that just doesn't exist for us. So that's a long way of me saying I'm interested to see um, what happens with Legend Bowl on consoles. Um, where did Havo go? There he is. I'm interested to see because it
Well,
could either
I'm trying to
totally
eat.
just
Well, I'm trying to eat some
oh
oatmeal while
yeah
we're doing this. I don't want to look like a scumbag, but here, real
yeah
quick. So, whoops. So, I didn't eat breakfast, so I had to scarf something down here. I'm trying to do that.
yeah
So if I turn my camera off, I'm just eating, guys. Um, but I think I was trying to think while you were talking about, consoles and sports games and all that, and I think that we have to remember that the number one obstacle that we have is visibility, right? We don't
yeah
have this huge marketing presence or this brand loyalty or any kind of reach out there. Like I told you, I played golf the other day. This guy was a football coach for Arkansas, their football team, and he knew Retro Bowl. He knew nothing about Legend Bowl, and Retro Bowl found a way somehow to hit like lightning in a bottle, and they really found their reach. They got visibility. People know about them. And so I guess my what I'm trying to get to is that I don't know if it's as much about sports or consoles. And now consoles, like you say, consoles will give you more visibility, especially when you're doing sports. But consoles is a whole nother avenue you have to take, an investment you have to take, which is crazy. But my point that I'm trying to get to is if we think about like what is the average visibility number that we can realistically hit, and we should we be making games for that number? Because to make games for a visibility number that we're never going to get to or is very difficult to get to, then we're kind of like then you're taking on a lot of risk. So if you make another Madden killer and nobody ever sees your game because you're not EA Sports or 2K,
yep
you just wasted your time.
yep
You just literally took all your money and resources and you threw it in the garbage because nobody's ever going to see it. And that's where I'm thinking
yeah
maybe we need to think about things differently, or whatever, to say, okay, who is our demographic? Not so much, like their age and ethnicity and things like that, location, but more like who's going to see our game. And
yeah
then if it's five people, well, build a game where you can make money from five people, whatever it is. And
yeah
that might be our like backwards way of a top down or bottom up, whatever you want to call it, way of trying to plan for the next game. I don't know.
yeah. And I think that's probably the right way to do it too, because I think, like I said, I'm going to be really interested to see how the Legend Bowl numbers come out, because as far as looking at Steam numbers, Legend Bowl is in the elite level, right? You're in the top 1% of, activity and visibility and sales on Steam. So, given that you're at the elite level for Legend Bowl, if the conventional wisdom holds, when you go to consoles, you should be making millions. Now, this will be a really good place to pressure test my theory that the console people are not going to support indies no matter what, because they're just AAA drones, right? And I could be proven wrong. And the good thing is that this is an opportunity to prove me wrong. And if I'm wrong, then things are great for us. If it turns out that I'm right, though, then we, like you had said, we gotta rethink who are we making these games for? Because if Legend Bowl comes out on consoles and makes similar or less revenue than on Steam, we got to stop making games for console sports gamers because they just won't care. But if it does come out and is huge, all right, then we're still good. We're still good. Um,
Right.
the
I
cool
think
thing
that,
is we're going to see. I mean, it's gonna happen, and we're gonna see.
well, I think it's hard to like just say if Legend Bowl does well or not. That's like the end all be all but I think it's a very, very, very solid test. I think it's a great test for us to see if we can make money on consoles, because the one thing about Legend Bowl that is not the best test is that it's a pixel art game. And console people typically like, 3D, next gen, great
AAA, like what I've
visuals.
been saying all. right?
they want AAA. So which is what, yeah, basically what you're saying, because we could make, I mean, look what low poly does. I mean, he does some low polygon
This stuff's
graphics, but
great.
it's great. Like
Yeah.
it looks phenomenal, like I love the way it looks. I'm asking him to do tutorials for us just to show
I
us what
know.
he's doing.
Make it easier for us to copy him.
And you could tell he's a good person. Like you could tell he's a good guy. He really,
Yeah.
really cares about his reputation. He really cares about what people, what his image is, what his brand is. He does things very, very clean and nice. The comments he made back in his video, he's very insecure about doing a raw video. And it's like he's doing things pro, like nice.
Yeah.
And I'm
He's
like,
legit.
legit. And he's just a nice guy. And I feel like, he's got a lot of talents, and I just want to know how he does some things. But the point is that he's making 3D stuff just like you make
Yep.
3D, things, and you can compete more, I think, with AAA than maybe I could. But then we talk about, are we even trying to compete with AAA? Because if we are, we're failing
Yeah. We've
probably
already
from the
lost
get.
if we're trying. Yeah.
Right. Right. So,
But that
where does
segues
that
into
leave us?
kind of our point for this, right? It's what are we doing? What are the projects? All right, yeah, everybody understands we've got Legend Bowl, right? I'm doing Cyber League right now, but mostly I'm a Desktop Dynasties 2 guy. Like we got to have other things to work on. We can't just bank it all on one thing. So we're trying to figure out what's a good idea and a good direction for future projects, right? You don't want to just be a one project guy and live or
Well,
die by
you
one
can't,
thing.
and
Yeah,
that's
you can't.
and that's kind of the crossroad that
Yeah.
I'm trying to navigate now, is like, you need to put as many, like, just like lotto tickets, you need to put as many tickets in the bowl,
Yeah,
and
nobody ever
see.
buys one ticket and
Right.
wins,
Right,
right?
but how do you, like the orange pixel guy that we follow? He's
Yeah.
got a very, very true and tested plan and strategy where he makes these small games, 6 months to a year max. I think they're more like 6 months, like you're
Yeah.
trying to do, I think, where, and I love your spreadsheet. We're going to show that soon and talk about it, because you need to really get like analytical and strategic about what you're doing, because right now, like last week, I didn't do that much work, and I'm lost. I feel like I'm just like sitting here like
Yeah.
wasting my
That's a
life
tough place.
thinking about what am I going to do, and I've been playing games, I've been researching games, and because I really can't work on Legend Bowl right now, and I probably shouldn't work on Legend Bowl. That's another thing. Like I've been working on it for too long, and somebody should be like,
Yeah, you
"Hey,
don't want to work on the same game for 10 years.
no, you'll be dead broke. You'll be
Yeah.
broke, and I have to stop, because until the game proves me wrong, if it can make a lot of money, then I'll jump back into it. But that's the point.
Well, even if it does, you should be thinking about what's the next version of
True.
Legend Bowl, right? Not just the same version.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it'll be the next
Yeah.
version, but it's like you have to get validation, and you have to be able to get a return for you to be able, like, just like what Low Poly's doing with the
Yep.
Chopper game. He's
Try
doing it
something
right.
new.
He's
Yeah.
doing it like you're doing it, basically, where he's making these game idea prototypes. He's showing people. If he gets enough interest, then he will pursue it. But then see, here's where I kind of get like cynical about it too, because I'm like, how much interest is he really going to get? Because nobody knows who Low Poly is. Nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows us. We're
Yeah.
like the bottom dwelling, feeding animals in the ocean. We're
Yep.
not big time YouTubers. People may have played our games who are big time YouTubers, but even then, like I had Angry Joe play my game. Like that didn't make my game millions of dollars on Steam. So it's hard. Like it's so
Yep. It's
hard
something we got
because
to recognize, right? You got to just accept that we're in this tiny little pond and just, make your strategy accordingly.
and I guess that's the thing, because if let's say I made a prototype and
Yeah.
it was great for 100 people. What does that matter? Like, okay, it's fine. Okay, so you have a concept that, okay, people like it. Now you may be able to do like quantities of scale or whatever, or economy of scale, whatever, and start to push that out, and maybe that trend will, will support itself as you grow and get out to more people. And so like look at Legend Bowl, has like a 90 something rating
Yeah.
on Steam. That doesn't mean anything. I could have a 100% rating on Steam. Doesn't mean anything if nobody
Yep.
sees it. But does that stop you? So it's like, on one side, you're like, okay, I have a good product that most people like, keep pushing it. keep marketing it, keep sending
Yep.
out emails and flyers, whatever you can do, go to conventions, whatever you can do to get the word out. But then you also have to be realistic and say, I only have this like finite number that I'm probably going to hit. So like I think the
Yeah.
best way I'm trying to like talk to myself here and think out loud here and
The
just like
Sunday therapy session, right?
yeah, and I don't mean to hog the conversation about game ideas because that's kind of where I'm at. You're doing that too, but you are so much better, and maybe because you have a job, I don't know, but you're so much better at just like, this is what I'm doing. I don't think it matters that you have a job. You're like, this is what I'm doing. You don't ask anybody. You don't talk. I mean, at least not that I know of, but you're very quick to like keep pushing and keep
Yeah.
doing and keep trying. I'm more like, what do I do? How do I
You
do it?
want to know the answer before you start.
Well, I'm very analytical about things
Yeah.
to the point where I'm like paralysis of analysis. I cannot work until I
Yeah.
feel like it's worth my time.
Yep.
So I just get stuck in this like pause. So
Yep.
it's like, okay,
You're
just
like, I
start
don't want to
writing.
put 6 months into this only to launch it and it not do well. I'd rather put 6 months into something that I already know is going to be successful.
Right. And with
Yeah.
Legend Bowl, it was a football game. Like you and I know, we love football games. I mean, I was thinking about you yesterday and I'm like, all you like, as much as you want to work on other games, you always come back to football.
I always do. It's so much fun to work on. I can't help
But
it.
why is
Yeah.
that for us? You know, like, why do we do
Yeah.
that? Because is
It's
that
the perfect mix of strategy and tactics. That's just how I see it. For me, that's why it's so awesome.
I love it too, but I'm just
Yeah.
wondering as a studio, it's
Yeah.
probably
That's
like
probably not the right
it's a
point.
death wish.
Yeah. For a business, it's probably not the greatest idea.
No. No, but I just wonder like what should we be doing, you know? I just really need to like figure it out. And
Yeah.
it's hard to find out what game idea to work on because you can take an older game and modernize it, right? Like you're doing with Cyberball. I mean,
Yeah.
you're
Like,
taking
let me bring up my spreadsheet now that you're kind of talking about it.
yeah, if you do a web share,
Um,
I can probably push it over and show people.
yeah. Let me figure out. I remember how to do this. I did this once, right? Wait, that's our YouTube.
No, you've done it before, yeah. I've seen it.
There we go. Here it is. All right. You got it?
All right, I got it. And then hold on. How do I do this? Let me see. Google Share. Okay, I think I got it here. And then let me do that. Let me reset this. I just need to set it up. Oh, it's showing. That's weird. Okay. You already did it. So on the screen on YouTube, it's showing the spreadsheet over your camera, but
Ah,
I need
yeah,
to
you got to do
do,
something. I remember that
uh,
from last time.
yeah, I need to just reset it. So just, I can grab your shot here. Hold on. Where are
Let
you?
me look at the chat while you're setting it up. Yeah, we hit a nerve with the console talk. I noticed that. I was watching that as we were talking.
Uh-oh.
Consoles is always a big topic. People feel very strongly.
Well,
What are your thoughts about making a different kind of football game? Yeah, so Phenomenal Views actually say bringing up a lot of things we're going to talk about in my spreadsheet and my strategy here.
what's he saying?
I'm talking about just different types of football games, the casual versus the hardcore sim guys, things like that. So that's actually a huge part of what my projects spreadsheet is about.
Yeah, I'm almost there. So hang tight.
It's funny. It's almost like we relearn how to do these shows every time we do it.
Well, you know, we're using Google Meet, and it's not always. I always have to kind of like reshuffle around like your camera.
Oh
So
yeah.
I think
Oh
this will be good here. Let's see if this
yeah. While you're
works.
bringing it up, I'll just kind of Oh no, you got it now. Okay,
That looks better now, right?
let me zoom in a little bit on the actual projects themselves. Okay. Yeah, that should be somewhat readable. Let me zoom in one more time. Whoa,
That's too much. I
I
can't
know,
see. Can't see
right? I'm
anything.
showing off my Excel skills from 20 years of being a project manager, and clearly I don't know what I'm doing here. All right. So what this is this discussion Havo and I have been having on this show, right? About how do you figure out what to do and your strategy for staying organized. I was saying earlier previously after Desktop Dynasties 1, I just kind of did things, random things with no real plan, and it didn't really seem to go anywhere other than being kind of fun and interesting. It just didn't really go anywhere. So, as I'm working on Cyber League football, that's the top one up here with the orange, that's the farthest bar. I started to think, all right, I'm getting close to being done this. I got to figure out what I'm doing. I don't want to waste another year of just doing things for fun but not actually getting anywhere. So I just did something simple, right? You open a spreadsheet and you write down all your ideas.
I like
And all my
simple. I like simple. It makes it
yeah.
easy to just like pick up. You're not spending too much time on it, and you can just
Yeah, I did a
really,
Trello or something once, and it's just like those are too complicated, right? Even
yeah,
simpler.
yeah.
Just put it in a spreadsheet, right? Doesn't have to be complicated. So my ideas start off with kind of like Phenomenal has been saying, just a lot of football games, right? Because that's what I do. I've already got multiple years of code behind me for football games. So it makes sense, right? I can reuse that stuff and quick turn a bunch of really interesting games that are different. So obviously the first one is the Cyber League, right? That's the robot football that's copying Cyberball. The next one is the one that I'm going to start in a couple of months here. It's the Backyard Football Project. Basically, just going to take a lot of what's in Desktop Dynasties 2 on the gameplay side on the field, and we're going to do some cool things and basically reimagine the old backyard football game, right? A bunch of kids playing football in the neighborhood. It's going to be real heavy on-field gameplay. Should be fun. But the main gist of the backyard football project is going to be like picking teams before you play, right? There's a bunch of neighborhood kids. You pick teams. There's a captain on each side, and you pick teams, and then you play football. That's what that game's going to be about.
Let me ask
Uh,
you real quick.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but the game design part of it, are you actually doing a game design document of any
Oh
sorts,
God,
or are
no.
you just like it's in your head game design?
It's kind of just in my head. I don't overthink this stuff.
I mean, it's
Some
the cool.
people really love doing game designs. I will write out a couple of key things that I want to remember, like the backyard football project. I kind of wrote out on my whiteboard what I mean by picking teams and how that's going to be interesting. So there'll be things like some players that you pick, right? So if the first guy you pick on your team is going to like you more for picking him first. The people who don't get picked are going to not like you, and then there's going to be this whole relationship thing where if you're going to pick a team to play against this other guy and there are too many people on your team that don't like they're not going to be as good. Just some weird things like that. And there's going to, so like I'll just kind of write out ideas on my whiteboard, but I don't do a design document.
And I was
I
going to
did
say that's
those.
football. So like that's one thing I'm finding out about other games. It's like, okay, well, when you make a football game, you pretty much have 80% of it figured out. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
the other
football. We
parts
all
of
know
it.
what football is,
Right.
right?
Right.
Don't have to overthink it.
Which is kind of
Um,
nice. It's nice because you don't have to worry about designing anything or finding out how
yeah,
it's going to
just
work or tinkering too much.
copy what's already there, right?
Right.
And then you could see after I get past that, obviously Desktop Dynasties 2, I'm gonna keep working on that. That's kind of my magnum opus. But then after that, we get into the like, what else could I do that would be fun, right? And I have the
Copy low
sim
poly
golf.
chopper game.
Yeah.
You
Like I have a sim
scumbag.
golf idea I want to do someday. I got like that battle game that I did for like a little quick game jam prototype. I do want to do a game like that someday.
Sim
We've
golf
talked
would be
about making
awesome.
space. Huh?
I like sim golf. I like that idea
Yeah,
too.
I really want to do that someday.
But
We've
that's a
talked
big
about space
project, I
games.
think, too, as
What?
well. It's a big project, I think, sim golf. So you got to be
Probably.
careful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then like my questionable hero, Creature League is another football game with monsters. Then I've got a couple of basketball games on there, a couple of driving games. I got an idea for a horse racing type game, but that doesn't use horses. It uses like other animals or creatures or things. But my idea basically is write them all down, and then I got like this graph area of how far am I on each of these. Like, is it just an idea, or have I actually done the thinking to turn it into something that could be a game? And then once I do that, I gotta collect like models and art and stuff like that. And then that's all the stuff that I do before I get into the active game dev section. So this is just kind of my way of collecting the ideas, but also like keeping me organized as to, well, I don't want to just dive into, let's just say the chopper game, right? As an example. I don't want to just all of a sudden, like one day after I'm done Cyber League, saying I'm going to start working on the chopper game. Well, I haven't done all the work up to active game dev to be able to jump into that. So it doesn't make sense to waste all the work I've done on these other ideas to jump into something I haven't done the pre work. It's just kind of my way of thinking, how do I streamline this process? How do I stay disciplined and do it in an organized way so that at the back end I get games done quickly, right? Um, because my strategy is kind of like you started talking about earlier. Do you want to make a prototype and maybe 100 people like it, right? And how do you know if that's worth pursuing? My strategy is, well, what if I have five not prototypes, but five short games, and one of those they all have 100 people, but one of those has 1,000 people. That actually tells me something now, right? If I do five short games and three of them have 0 people, and two of them have 100 people, that also tells me something. So it's not that I know what the potential audience or the revenue is. I just know what's a better idea than another idea. And to me, I think there's good value there, and that's kind of what I'm going after here.
Well, if you think about, and that's this is where I struggle because if you think about a company or a studio like Supergiant Games,
Yeah.
or even like the guy Tom Francis that made Gunpoint. Those guys, or even I mean, the guys at Super Mega Baseball, the guys at Metalhead Software who are now part of EA, they worked on the same game for many years, so that's different. But I always thought about the approach that you make, like you really really systematically try to figure out what game will make you a lot of money, and this is a way of doing that. That's a public way of doing it. Probably more time invested in this as well. You're not stopping at the prototype phase. These are
Oh,
moving
yep.
on into releases, right? So you're looking at quantity versus quality, and potentially the quantity is going to give you a hit,
Yeah.
and you're definitely minimizing your risk, but you're also stretching out smaller games that may or may not make it. But like if you look at Supergiant, they really like put all their eggs in one basket for like 2, 3, 4 years, however long it takes them. They have a big studio, they have more money, more runway, they can take on more risk, but they really think hard and long about what game's going to make them a hit. Like they're trying to make hits.
Yeah.
They're not just trying to make the next thing. And we've
Yeah.
talked about it.
Tons of indie devs work that way.
We don't need to
Yeah.
make a hit too. That's where we're kind of light
That's
and
that's the smart way to do this for us. Just like I said, recognize we're in a tiny little pond, and don't operate in a way where you have to have a hit because we're probably not going to get one.
right.
Right? Be smart. Make sure you can do this cheaply. Like if you scroll over to I've thought through the budget and time for all of these. I'm just bucketing like how much time in 6-month increments and how much budget in like 5K increments. Most of these projects are small, and I'm purposely scoping them. A lot of these are going to be for the casual person, right? Not the hardcore guys. Like it's going to be simple models, simple gameplay. I'm thinking like I don't want to overdo any one idea. Um, do it enough so that it's a fun, complete game that has like all the bugs taken care of, right? It's not buggy. It's but it's not overly bloated with things that are that frankly don't add value to the idea I'm trying to do. So this is also a little bit in me exercising some self-discipline and just making sure that I consistently produce and cheaply enough so that I don't need everything to be a hit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I go back and forth. Like I like what you're doing. I like this spreadsheet. I like how you can just like quickly just try to plan out these games. There's not a lot of you're not going to waste 5 years on any of these games. That's for damn sure.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
and like what you're doing, I think what you're doing with Cyber League football
Oh man, it
is
crashed.
that's good. That's your best. What happened? Crash?
Oh, my Excel crashed. All right.
Oh, that's okay. We can
Yeah,
switch
that's
back.
we've seen enough of that.
Yeah, we've seen enough of that. We can switch back over to where we
Yeah.
were. So the Cyber League game, I think that that's going to be. I like that game for you right now better than a lot of the stuff that you've done, just because it's different. You're going to come out with a complete game. You have assets that you bought, which I think is going to help to make it at least more unique.
Yeah.
The idea is small enough in scope. I just like what you're doing. Desktop Dynasties I liked, but I also feel like for you to fully polish that game and get it to where it needs to be, that's a longer project, I think, than I
Oh, for
mean,
sure. Yeah.
I mean, look at that tennis manager game we saw yesterday or whatever day it
Yeah.
was. That game's got like what, 13 I don't even know. It's got a small number of
It was
reviews.
fewer than 10. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Or
like
fewer than 20. Yeah.
it was very low count, let's put it that way, with reviews. And I'm like, this game should be, but even like out of the park baseball, like they do have a cult following though, because I looked on Steam DB and they have over 1,000 players concurrently playing at the time that I was looking yesterday. So people play that game. Don't let the
Yeah.
numbers fool you. That game gets plays from people. But I guess like I can work on that. I can work on that golf game, right? Which
Yeah.
I know is not going to make me a crazy amount of money. It's just like a little bit of money. Maybe that's the way to go. I don't know. I do know that going to consoles and getting a publisher, that's a huge undertaking. I mean, that's a lot to commit to. I like the idea of just being on PC. I just like that. It just feels
Yeah.
convenient. I was playing the Factorio demo yesterday. If you guys have ever heard of Factorio, I'm sure you have. They have over 100,000 reviews on Steam. I'm not trying to make that hit because there's no way I'm going to make a game that's going to make that, and that's a very small, like, chance. But I also know that they didn't just have this little idea probably and just automatically they probably put their time and resources and invested and thought really, really well about. So it's like the long approach, more risk, but better game potentially, or a fuller product. I don't know, or smaller,
Maybe.
you
I
know.
think a lot of times people equate like depth of detail or like how polished is it. They equate that with how good of a game is it. And just from what I've seen, especially on Steam and for the PC market, especially, I don't know that that's true. I think if something's fun, people are okay with it not being AAA quality, at least on at least the people who do buy indie games, right? The people who don't buy indie games, we're not getting them anyway, so who cares, right? I don't care what AAA players think because they're not going to buy my game anyway. But the people who are willing to give indie games a chance, I don't think are as obsessed with polish as the AAA people who are super loud in comments. Which is kind of what I'm betting on. It's like, okay, I can make a 6-month game, or I could spend 18 months and polish it up, but I don't think that extra year of polish buys me any more sales. So I got to be smart and balance those two, right? Um, but again, I'm just trying to go all in on recognizing where I'm playing, right? I'm playing in a small pond. Um, I should not be spending any energy or resources trying to play in a bigger pond because I just don't exist there. Right. I got to be realistic and I got to be disciplined. And that's kind of where I'm going with my project ideas is trying to be disciplined and realistic. I obviously I wish I could do the 3K project justice. But that's an example of me trying to play in a bigger pond than I live in.
Hmm. I'm gonna try to pull up the. Let's see if this works here. I want
Oh,
to.
yeah. Eric, I'm going to steal this game, by the way. It's on my list. It's the bottom one on my list. I'm definitely stealing components of this idea. I
Okay,
actually
cool.
did start working on a prototype. This is like at least a year and a half ago. I just called it Vehicles Game. It basically, I did some YouTube videos on it. I tried to look before this, and they're just not there anymore.
Mhm.
But it's basically a game where you are a guy, and you can jump into all kinds of different vehicles that exist in this world, and whichever vehicle you jump in, you get the controls to fly and operate that vehicle. It could be a
That's kinda
tank
cool.
or a truck or an airplane or a helicopter or a motorcycle. And then I was trying to figure out, what do you do with all these vehicles? And that's the part I never really could figure out. So it didn't really go anywhere after that.
Are you guys having audio issues? I just pulled up this video and it's like really choppy.
Once you
No
did
pun
the
intended.
video doesn't look great for me.
It's not
Um,
rendering
but
right for
you
some reason.
talking sounds fine.
Yeah, I don't know. Trying to show it off, but you guys can I could put a link in the description. You guys know who Sunday Rivals is. You guys follow him.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the guys on here are football guys, so you guys know
Yep.
what game we're showing probably. So I'll just put a link in the description, but yeah, my internet is so weird, dude. It's like it's saying it's not receiving enough. It's giving me the
Weird.
whole lag thing that happens. So
Yeah.
it comes back up, but this is kind of for me to just chat with you and talk about what I'm gonna do because I need to figure out. I don't know, man. Like I got excited about the golf game, and then I started thinking, is that game gonna really make me any money? I don't want to make a full game, even if it took me 6 months to make 10 grand. I that's just not gonna work
Yeah.
for me. I'd
I
rather
think the
just
thing to remember though is you and I, we have no idea what's going to make money. Like we just don't know. If we had that answer, we would just make that game and make a ton of money. But the fact is nobody knows, right? You don't know until the game comes out. So sometimes I think overthinking it can just paralyze you because you're trying to answer a question you don't have enough information to answer.
Yeah, I guess for me it comes down to like if I was building a car, right?
Yep.
If I went out and put, you know, if I went out and put like a cardboard box with a skateboard underneath, I'm not going to sell what I could sell if I were to make. I guess I think when I say quality, I know what you're saying, and I get it. Like there are games like Undertale. Undertale looks like absolute garbage. That game was an absolute hit. I'm not trying to go for a hit, but there are games that just because you don't have the best visuals or the best looking, overall polish in the game, that the game can do very well because the concept is pretty good or the game design or the storytelling. There's something about the game that catches people, that
Yeah.
catches their attention, that makes if the game's just fun. It could be a very simple, like low graphic style game that could just be fun for people. And I get that part of it. And I understand that that's probably the way to go is to find out, prototype, tinker around, like game jam ideas, and come up
Yeah.
with.
Just make something fun. Right.
Yeah, but then I also say, like I don't know. I think like I think on the other side a lot where it's like build the Lexus, build like the bigger, the
Yeah.
nicer
But
full car.
that's not us, right? We're just one guy. Each of us is just one guy. You're not going to be able to build the Lexus, right? That's what I'm talking about is like stay disciplined, remember where we play, remember where we live.
Right. So then my internet is trash right now, guys. So
It's up and down. Like I can tell when it starts getting bad because you get all pixely in our
yeah.
stream. But then now you're back. So it's like it's weird. It's just up and down.
Well, hopefully they can see it at some point, but
I say it looks good now.
I don't know how I'm at like 1374 kbs, so it's low right now for some reason. But this is broadband. I hate it. But I know what you're saying. But it's hard for me. See, I don't have a job. If I had a job, I would go with this plan without even thinking twice. Like I was like, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
make a game part time. It's small in scope. I can handle it. If I make a lot of money, great. If I don't, who cares? I'm having
Yep.
fun. I'm trying, but like to do it full time and think about I don't know. Like, I don't, it's not enough. Like, I can't make a small game and feel like I'm going to make enough money. Like, I don't know. If I
Yeah.
was making mobile, maybe, because that's what they do. They're all small games, but we hate mobile.
Yeah, we
So
do.
I don't
So
know,
I'd say,
man.
well, given that, what's your alternative, right? If the alternative is not do anything,
Well,
that's
that,
even worse,
yeah.
right?
Well, this is like a temporary, I hope. If the longer I'm not doing anything, the more I'm going to find a job and call it quits or a
Yeah, but let's
part
just
time it.
say it launches. Let's say Legend Bowl 2 is going to launch on consoles in what, September? I think August. I don't know,
There's no Legend Bowl 2. That's for
or
damn
Legend
sure
Bowl
right now.
console,
Legend
right?
Bowl right now. Yeah, Legend Bowl is going to be, I mean, I hope there's a Legend Bowl 2, but Legend Bowl, we're trying to get it out by football season.
So like September, right?
September, and that may not be all the consoles. It may just be one
Right.
console. I don't know
Just as
yet.
an example of what I'm kind of thinking.
Yeah,
So you've
yeah.
got between now and September, you have this block of time where you got to figure out what to do, right? What I'm saying is like use this time, make something, right? It doesn't even matter if this ends up being the thing that is selling big because the alternative is using between now and September and making nothing, right? If those are the two choices, I think it's a simple choice, right?
Yeah. But what but yes, you're right.
It's
100%.
just got to be something,
You're
right? Take
100%
your
right.
best idea and just do it.
I just
Who
need to find a
cares?
way to commit to something.
Yeah, that's the tough part too, though.
And I have so many games I want to make. Like I've been looking on Steam and just I would love to make a game that's you use your mouse, take the controller, and throw it in the goddamn garbage.
Yeah, me too.
I don't want anything to do with consoles for a
Oh my
while. I
god, for
just don't.
real.
I don't want to even like come near this. Now what Low Poly is doing with the Chopper game, I like that game. That game looks
It's
pretty damn
cool.
cool. I don't know how I mean, I know I could figure out how to do this stuff. It's not that I can't
Yeah,
figure it out. It's just I like how he just spins stuff up. 5 days of work. You're fast too that way. You guys are in Unity, which Unity is very, very like appealing to me because it's
makes it
like
easy.
there's
Yeah,
such a huge asset store, so many tutorials, so many things at your disposal where it's like plug and play, boom, bam. And then like I know it's powerful too. Like you could make
it
some
is.
beautiful looking games. I mean, like the PGA game, the golf club, they got bought out by 2K and their game looks beautiful and they're on a Unity engine and all the games on Unity. I mean, you
Oh
can make
yeah.
AAA stuff on there. I know we're not
Yep.
trying to. You see, I always go back to that because that's
I know you always bring that up, like we have to compete with AAA, and I'm like,
I
why
hate
would you
that.
compete with AAA?
I don't know. I have
You're
a
never
problem.
win.
I think to myself, what game would I
Like you're
play?
following the Canuck play strategy. Like that's terrible.
I hate Canuck play.
I know, but like Dave wanted to compete with AAA. It's like, why would you do that? You'll never do it.
I
But
can't do it.
he couldn't stop.
But see, that's the thing. I know that, and that's why I have this paralyzing. I'm paralyzed. I hear you. I'm not discarding you
Yeah.
or like ignoring what you're saying. I know you have the answer laid out right in front of me, pounding me in the forehead. I get it. But I also sit here in my mind. I'm like, what would I play, and what would I want to do? And like, will any of these games keep my attention? No, 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 no. Will they keep my attention for me to actually develop them? Probably not.
That's the tough part. Yeah.
That's the tough part too. But like, and then coming up with a good
That's
game
actually probably
idea.
more important than having a good idea is having an idea that you'll want to work on for
It's
that long.
100% more
Yeah.
important because if you don't finish a game, I don't care how good your
Yeah.
idea
Nothing can
was,
happen until the game is done,
right?
is
And
what
to finish
they
the
say.
game, you have to be smart. And I know that I know the secret to it all is small scope, a scope that you can handle. Whatever, if you're 20,000 people company, get a big scope, whatever, large scope, but whatever scope you can handle, which for us it's small, like
Yep.
small, like super small. And whatever that scope is, come up with an idea that you think people would want to play. But I hear you. I have this timeline. If we're talking about my situation specifically here, my timeline is however many months, 5 months, 4 months, whatever, 3 or 4 months, whatever it is that I have where I can focus on having some other game idea, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm tinkering around with games. I'm thinking of what I can do. I I also need to figure out, like, if I find an idea, like, where do I get the graphics from? It's always a problem for me. If I look on the asset stores, like last night, we were watching. My wife and my son love that Stranger Thing or
Yeah.
Stranger Things, right?
Yeah.
They were watching that, and my kid gets all scared, and he's in our bed every night. I'm like, well, why are we watching this? But I'm sitting there on my phone as we're watching it. I'm on my phone, scrolling through the Unity store, thinking about what assets could I buy. The problem I always have with the assets is you only get a piece of the puzzle. You don't get the whole thing. Nobody made a
Yep.
game, and if they did, then that game's already taken, right? So you get like so many characters or so many, backgrounds or so many sounds. Like you get like pieces and parts, and putting
Yep.
them together is like Frankenstein. They don't work. They just don't work.
Yep.
And so like the asset store to me is very limiting. I can't just go there and get all my assets. I'm gonna get like
No.
prototyping
No.
assets.
Yeah, you can.
Or
That's what I've found about the asset store too. Is they're really good if you need one specific thing, right? So like, um, if you just need a football stadium and nothing, like you've got everything else, that's great, right? You can get that. If you just need a flight controller for bombers, right? You can go to the asset store and find that, right? If you just need models for cars, right? You can get that really easy. But like you said, if you're going to buy multiple packs, it's hard to find packs that mesh real well together. So you got to kind of just use it for very specific things.
Yeah, people in the chat are saying, yeah, Stranger Things is gruesome. Every 5 seconds, he's closing his eye. He's like this, and I'm like,
Oh my
why are
God,
you
that's
watching
funny.
this? I like it because parts of it are pretty cool. It's a fun, 80s thing. He likes all that, but then like every 5 minutes, he's covering his eyes, and it is gruesome. Like I went upstairs last night in the dark, and I was a little scared. I'm like, shit. My dog was in the closet drinking water, and I walked by the closet. It
Oh
was
my
pitch black,
goodness.
and I heard, and I'm like, I jumped. And I'm like, okay, we got to stop watching these shows because
Oh
he's
my God,
super
that's
scared,
funny.
and I got scared last night. I'm like, let me get the hell out of here. But anyways, they're making comments about Legend Bowl. Listen, I poured everything I have into Legend Bowl. I think it's a really good game. I play the game. I like the game. I enjoy it. But I also have a lot of concern, and it's risky, and I'm working with a publisher, so a lot of the controls out of my hands, and I really don't know how it's gonna. I put all my eggs in one basket, and I'm hoping it pays off. And trust me, I appreciate every comment on here that people are making because I love the game too. I really do. I just don't know if it's going to translate into a lot, not a little bit of sales. I'm talking a lot of sales for it to be worth all the time I spent on it. So we'll see. That's out there. I can't control that. You should only focus on what you can control, right? People say it all the time. Don't worry about
Yeah.
things you can't control. And so
It's a lot easier said than done, though. It takes a lot of discipline.
it's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah.
And I think that part of this conversation in this show here is that what makes for a good game idea. And I've been doing so much research. I've been looking at there's a game Reddit or a Reddit game ideas
Yeah.
group
There's a lot of those out there.
out there, and there's a lot of ideas. And you can either modernize an old game, which is basically what I did with Legend Bowl. And it's not even like Tecmo Bowl, but I took a pixel game and I turned it into a modern version of it.
Yeah. That's
But
kind of my
really,
strategy too. Is I say 3/4 of my game ideas are take a game I really enjoyed and do a modern spin on it. Right. A game that everybody's forgotten about and nobody remembers anymore. Modernize it. Right. I think it's a cool idea. There's a lot
yeah,
of cool old games that nobody even
that's
remembers.
my number one like go to. I keep thinking like, what game did I like when I was young? I loved the Bionic Commando game when I was a kid. I liked I
Yeah.
liked a lot of games. I mean, I can go through hundreds of them here. Even like the golf game on Neo Geo. I never had Neo Geo, but Neo Turf Masters is a great golf game. But those games also take a lot of work. Those aren't small scope games. A lot of those games, even if you put your own twist, you're basically trying to modernize a AAA game from back then. So you have to also be careful there. So if we rewind, there's the game idea option of take an old game that was great and modernize it, or find a way to make it better or a little bit different. Right? There's that route you can take, which is the route that's kind of the easiest because the proof is already there. You have all the examples right there. You can just look at it. You can copy it and you can just tweak it. Then
Yeah.
you have the other side, which is what's a really cool idea that no one's ever done before, or mashing up, different genres. And that's where you get into
That's tough to
that's
come
tough.
up with a game that nobody's done before. That's a tall order. It's so much easier to take a game that everybody's forgotten and add enough new stuff that it becomes a fresh idea, right? Like Cyber League's a good example of that. Cyberball is actually a pretty boring game. It's so fun to play, but when you look at features and the overall experience, it has is the on-field gameplay and almost nothing else. So it's like, well, let me add two or three new ideas to it: a season mode, a ladder mode, and saving your records slash what I call the trophy case. That's all I've really done, but I've added these three little things, and now it's a fresh idea that nobody's done before, right? That's kind of what I'm talking about when I say take old games and just refresh them.
And then I also think that, like, if you can make, like you've said it before, if you can make a game that's fun,
Yeah.
whatever it is, whatever you can think of. Let's say you like motorcycles and you want to do that, or golf like I like, or football like we both like. If take something that you like and turn it into something that could be fun, and get examples. I mean, you can go on Steam right now and you can find a million examples. I mean, Factorio is a very popular game. It's a huge game that I wouldn't want to take the time to do, but yeah, but Klepto, when I say 2 million, I'm talking about 2 million before the
Yeah,
returns, before the
gross, because then there's this cut, that cut, taxes, this cut, extra cut, and now you're down 2 million turns into like 400K real quick.
yeah, yeah, exactly. 2 million can easily turn, it's probably going to turn into like 700K, 600K, and so maybe even less because the publisher
That's,
too. You're right.
there's publisher, there's platform, federal tax. I don't, do you guys
Returns.
have state tax? I don't know.
We don't have state tax.
We have
We don't
state
have state tax
tax.
here,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's so many pieces. I mean, it's
Self-employment tax.
yeah, it's discouraging as hell. And then all your
Yeah.
expenses on top of that. And no, if you make 2 million in sales gross, you're probably walking away with like 400K. And if you're
Yeah.
making 400K over 5 years, it's like a $90,000 job, which is, fine. But I was making more than that when I was out, and I could make more than that right now. It's just, so I'm not trying to, that's another thing too. I'm not trying to
That's the
necessarily,
part that you don't realize till you've launched your first game and start getting those paychecks from Steam. You're like, wait a minute, I thought Steam told me I just sold 10K. Why are you sending me $1,000?
right. And
You
on
know?
top of it, like, I'm not even including the benefits that a work gives you. When you're sick, you get
Yeah.
paid, you get medical, you get 401K, you get all these different benefits. I mean, I don't even want to go into it, but
Yeah.
but the thing also is that I'm also not trying to replace what I was making. I was miserable making what I was making. So I'm not at all trying to, I mean, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to make more,
Yeah.
right? Because money makes the world go round. But at the same time, my goal is not to make what I used to make. It's a barometer I use because in reality, that's money I could have made, right? So you think about, what could I have made? What's
Yeah.
the opportunity cost here? And what am I
Right. We're
trying to,
humans. We like to measure ourselves against things.
well,
Yeah.
my wife's definitely measuring that, right? She's looking at what I'm making and she's like, well, wait a second, like, and I
Yeah.
know she's trying to, support, and I appreciate her for that. And, we're trying to do the best we can, but it's hard. It's just hard when you turn anything that's a hobby into your work. Everything changes. Everything changes. Whether it be, let's say you want to be a professional golfer. If I wanted to be, I shot even par after 9 holes the other day, and I'm not the best
Damn.
golfer, and I played pretty well. I shot all pars, one bogey, one birdie.
Holy
For
cow.
me to actually play golf for a living is like impossible. Never going to happen. And it takes like me as fun, having fun, to all of a sudden now it's a job and you're
Yeah.
competing with so much more, and it just becomes so much more complicated. But this is the same thing. So I always, I tend to, I guess it starts to make me feel like, Havo, get a job that's that's not going to make you miserable, going to make you some money. Do it as a hobby. Put all of that passion you have and that hatred you have towards a job maybe and put it towards like what you're doing. I know you have your struggles with your
Yeah.
job, right? But
Yeah.
you at least get an outlet, and you know you're putting money in your bank account, and you know you have benefits, and you know
Yeah.
whatever you're getting, and it's like, okay, wait a second. You don't have to like feel like the spotlight's on you where it's like, how am I going to make money?
That's
So
definitely different
it's a
than the
lot different.
desktop dynasties days.
Right. When you were in Desktop Dynasties, it was fun, it was thrilling, but it started to get very depressing probably pretty fast,
A
right?
little scary towards the end when I realized how little I was making. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's also like I've told you before, it's also kind of I know it. I looked for jobs the other day just for fun. I looked for like 20 minutes and I couldn't find anything I would even remotely want to do.
Yeah.
So I say getting a job is I say it very casually, but I know it's hard to deal with that. I don't want to deal with that. You know, I don't want to deal with those things. And luckily for me, you know, have made a little bit of money on Legible, which has been nice. So I appreciate that. As much as I sound negative, I'm not negative. I do appreciate it. I just also I'm waiting to see how it does, right? The full because it's a
Yeah.
console game in the end. I'm waiting for that. And I'm
Yeah.
also
Said
in
I
the
can't
middle
wait to
of
see how that works out. See if I'm totally wrong or unfortunately right.
Yeah, Ralph, I know you play golf. Look at that. You shot a 63. That's phenomenal. I mean, that's
Damn.
crazy. I mean, that's really, really good. And even yours, yeah, it's a whole different level. And it takes a lot of money, right? If you
Yeah,
had
because those PGA Tour guys are basically AAA,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We're indie.
We're indie. We're
It's like
indie.
that everywhere in life. There's AAA and then there's indie.
We are hobbyists. We are
Yeah.
guys that are trying to have fun, trying to do the best, trying to be as pro as we can be, but we don't have the backing. If Ralph, if you had $20 million in your bank account and you really wanted to play golf, you probably could make it because now you have the money to just risk on tournaments. You could just go into any. You can do Q school every year. You can try to get into any tournament you want because you can just sit there and throw money at it, and you may make the tour. The more money you have with tennis, golf, even like Formula One racing, you need to be like millionaires to make your chances easier, right? And the superstars that don't have the money, you know, you could always be a painter in Florida.
That's funny. A painter. Oh
No,
my
I'd rather get a
goodness.
corporate job than that because I can make more money
Those
and just
scrub
slack off.
toilets. At least you're inside.
Yeah. I hate to make this video like depressing. Nobody wants to hear about, you know, jobs and, you know, what you're going to do with your life, but it's the reality of game developers, right? Like there are
Yeah, being an
guys,
indie, we think about that a lot.
yeah, and there are guys like the Fox guy, which
Oh my God, the Fox guy.
I don't even want to talk about him.
That guy.
But there are people
Well, before we get off the Fox guy, like, you saw his latest video where he basically just went on, I just, I want to help as many people as I can. You know, like, dude, you're not game dev Jesus. Like, you had a game that went viral. I'm That's great. I've heard it's a good game, but like, you're not game dev Jesus. Calm down with yourself. Like, I get so annoyed at these people. Like, they have one viral success and all of a sudden they think they've cracked the code on how to be a game dev. It's like, dude, you hit the lottery. Just calm down with how great you are. Like, Fox dev guy just makes me nuts.
Yeah,
Oh,
I have a lot to say about him because he's it and but what's funny is that it almost seems like what he does is all staged. Like that
I
video
know
he
him and his
made,
buddy. I even forget what his buddy is. That other guy that we
Thomas
hate.
Brush.
Ugh.
He put on his YouTube title, it was like goodbye YouTube.
Oh my
That's
God.
not
I did.
clickbait right there.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, all of YouTube got together and wished you well. We're gonna miss you.
I
Like,
don't get
dude,
that
you are
guy.
not that important.
But if you hear him, everything I mean, I know he did say some things in that video that
Oh, he
was
always has a good point. That's the thing that makes me hate him even more. Is because, like, between him and that other dude, that like they do make good points. But then they followed up with the self-congratulatory crap for the next half hour, telling everybody how amazing they are and how we're all just blessed to be able to watch their journey. It's like, just stop with your good points that you're making and leave off the I'm game dev Jesus stuff. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
I really want to help people, but
oh my
I'm burning
God.
myself out, and he's like, what did he say? He's like, I'm putting myself on fire just to.
Yeah, he basically said that like I'm helping so many people that like the amount of giving that I'm giving to everybody and lifting you all up is hurting me. And it's like, no, come on.
And what did he do? He bought a couple of Unity assets, made a couple of gifts, and now he's like
Like he
this
made a
legend.
game. Like that's a success. Like I
It's a
congratulations. He
success.
should
Yeah.
be congratulated for making a successful game. That does not make him the greatest thing that's ever happened though. And apparently nobody told him that. So he does think he's the greatest thing that's ever happened.
And he acts like he's like
Oh,
just being so humble about it, and it's like, I'm
humble
humbled
brag.
by I'm
Yeah.
humbled by this, success, and
Look how humble I am
yeah, I've been
as
able
I
to
tell you how
I've been
great I
able to
am at
quit
being
my
humble.
job and do this and teach people and help
Oh
people,
my
but
God.
I'm really just
That's just a
killing.
hot button with me too. Is people who think they're better than everybody is
Yeah.
just a hot button. Like that's why I'm such a bad employee at work too, is because like you'll have a great relate. I see this all the time, right? You have a great relationship with somebody that's a peer, and you work really well together, and you do get a lot of things done. And like the second that person gets promoted, even a half of a step, all of a sudden they know more than everybody. It's like, what, yesterday you were just like the rest of us. Why today all of a sudden are you the expert at everything? It's like, God, that just makes me angry.
I don't even want to talk about corporate America because that's a whole nother thing. They just
But that's why I get so triggered by these Fox Dev guys,
and
like
that's the problem.
acting like they're better than everybody. It's like, well, before you went viral on Reddit, you didn't think you were better than everybody. Like, why now are you game dev Jesus?
If I go back to corporate America, I'm really curious. I'm really curious how I'm
Man,
gonna.
you're gonna get fired within a month.
I'm gonna tell somebody to go f off. I know that. I know I'm not gonna. It's not gonna work. I know it's
I
not gonna work.
guarantee you, you will. You're gonna roll in like a month later. Just be like, what the hell am I doing here?
I saw a video yesterday where this guy has two jobs, and he's like, my other job found out that I had a job. He had two
Oh my
remote
God.
jobs. He was banking, and I'm
Like,
like, that's a good way to
one
do
is
it.
bad enough. Why would you want to?
I wouldn't want to, but you can easily, if you have the right kind of job, you can be under the radar, and you can be making
Oh, who needs
some
that
money.
stress? My God.
I know. I
That's too
know.
much.
So making a good game is hard to do, but that might not, like you say, what is the goal? The goal is not to make the next hit. The goal is not to compete with AAA. The goal is to make small games that you can, first of all, do something. Number one,
Yeah.
right? Do
Yeah. That's
something.
the goal one, is do something.
goal goal one is get off your ass and do something. Goal number two is quickly try to find out what you want to do, prototype it, see if it's going to have legs, and maybe show it to a few people, put it on YouTube. If you like it enough and it's small enough that you can actually get done in a reasonable amount of time and you're realistic with your timelines, go for it.
Yeah.
And I could probably make a game in 3 months that if I worked full time and I had the right scope, 3 months, I could do it full time.
Yeah.
I know, but I have to get the right game and the right idea. But for me, it's probably going to be like 6 months for me to fully flush out a game and put it on PC. And I just need to come
I would
up with
say
the
first
idea.
step, just write down, make yourself a spreadsheet like mine, right? Get your top 10 game ideas, even if only 3 of them are like thought out at all, and 7 of them are just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I did this? Just get them in there and then spend like a week or so just actually looking at each one saying, what would I need to do this? And is that attainable? And then just give yourself a deadline in 2 weeks, pick one and go. Right. But start with like, I don't know, whatever, top 10. And then like somewhere else say, do I have the art or can I get the art for this? Do I understand how this game would work? And then by the end of your 2 weeks of looking at these 10 things, just regardless of where you think it is or what the potential is, you pick one and you go until it's done. I mean, that might be the good best way to go. You gotta start somehow.
I'll tell you what, this next week, we're going on a little vacation because we haven't been in a long time. And we're going to be away for a few days. And And I'm gonna be doing a lot of thinking. I'll probably be on my phone, here and there, just checking out games. But I do need to come up with those ideas
Yeah,
because
just start writing them. Just get yourself a little tiny notepad and bring it with you on vacation as you have them, and then when you get back, make your spreadsheet.
yeah, I think part of the thing that I guess part of it too. I know I keep putting the obstacles, but the artwork, like I think artwork is important. Like what
Mhm.
kind of characters you're using. But I know you can always backfill that. But
Just don't even think about that right now, right? After you have all your ideas, then like score each one on how hard would the art to be to get, right? If it's a 1, this one's easy to get art. If it's a 9, this one's hard to get art. Just use that as your decision making criteria. Don't use it as a filter for ideas though.
Well, yeah, but like Ralph says, no decisions need to be made until my game's on consoles. Well, that's 6 months of me doing what? I have to do something, right? I'm not going to sit here
Yep.
and do nothing. I have to make a decision. I mean, I can prototype games, but I could have made a game in 6 months. And if that made me 10 grand, okay, well, maybe some money. It's better than making nothing. Although six 6 months of work
You keep trying to come up with reasons not to do it.
because
Just like you need more reasons to do it.
I
There's
know.
always a reason not to do something.
But if I told you you're going to make 10 grand in 6 months, you'd go
I'd
get a
say I don't
job.
believe you.
You'd
I'd
go,
say, how do you know? You don't know. That could be 100 grand. Who knows?
true. I don't think it's going to be 100 grand,
Maybe
but
not, but you don't know,
for 6 months of my work, I don't
right?
know.
People can always tell you reasons not to do something. You'll never find a shortage of reasons to not do something. You got to just ignore it and just decide, am I going to do it or am I not going to do it?
It's just depressing when you see what's on Steam, man. It's like you look at the reviews and you're like, I can easily get into a rut where I'm like,
Yeah.
they only have 15 reviews. This game did
That's
not
just
take
more
six
reasons.
months.
You're just looking for reasons not to do it, right? Anytime you're looking at something like that, you're just finding reasons not to do something.
Right.
Like I said, there's unlimited reasons to not do it. Like they're pointless. You'll always find them, right? It doesn't matter what you're going to do.
Especially
You'll always find
with
a
game
reason
dev.
not to. Yeah.
They're all over
Your
the
only
place.
question is, do you want to do it or not? Really?
Right. Right.
Because you can always convince yourself that it's not worth your time.
But here is the thing that we have to make sure we all remember. Committing to a game is a huge undertaking. I don't care how long it takes. You're committing to a complete game that you have to release. And you know how that works. You've done it. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
I don't take that very lightly. So I know I know what you're telling me. I put these things in front of me because I know the commitment that I
Yeah, you're
need to make.
creating roadblocks that don't need to be there.
Right. But I'm also like there's a concern and a worry which all comes from fear, right? Fear of
Mhm.
not making more mistakes and also not being able to commit to something. So like it's hard. Like it's not an easy choice. It's like almost like you're
No,
getting married.
that's tough. That's a hurdle we all have to deal with, is just overcoming the fear of things not working out, right? That's tough. It's real. It's hard because nobody wants to pour a ton of time into something that ends up sucking, right? You don't want to do
No,
that.
no.
But
But I
you
see
got to
these
kind of
games.
like, the hard part is ignoring that fear and saying, you know what? Maybe it will suck. Who cares?
Right. I could say that if I had a job. Like that would be easier for me to say if
You
I had a
could,
job, you know.
you could, but that's not reality, right? Reality is you have a block of time to do something
Right.
and you don't have a job. So what
Right.
are you going to do with it? Right.
Right. I mean, I do have the luxury of being able to right now to just like find I can make it, I'm not like dying here and, but I also know that we're not rich and we're not, we're barely getting by at times and my wife works and it's not the ideal situation, but um you want to be smart with your time. You want to
Yeah.
be smart with your time.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And if you need to go get a job, get a job. Like
Yeah.
I can get a job and I can do it part time, and it could work. Like
Yeah. That's an option.
you're doing that, right? You're doing that,
Yeah. That's what I'm doing.
and it's working
So
for
it's
you,
obviously an option.
right? It's an option.
Not great, but you know,
Yeah, but at least you don't at least you're like you're not sitting here, and I know it's probably an appealing place to be where it's like, okay, I can make it for a few, for so many months or a year, whatever it might be, but like you're also losing money. Like you're also like you're putting yourself in a deeper hole too. So it's hard. I don't know. I don't know what to do, but I'm going to be doing some thinking this week. I mean, what would be great is if Legend Bowl did phenomenal, and I was just like, okay, I did it. I put all my work into one game. It's a good game. People love it. Consoles making huge gains, and that
yep,
would be
that's the
great.
ideal
That
situation.
would be great because then everything else becomes easy.
Yeah,
That's where even getting a job it's great too because everything else does become easy. It's like, okay, well, this is taken care of. I don't have to worry
yep,
about the financial aspect of making games, and now I can go have fun, and I can focus on just learning and experimenting and having fun and not really worrying about what game will make a good amount of money. But that question is, like you said, answering that question is impossible, right?
yeah,
So you just take your best, you make your best effort and you put your best foot forward and you go from there.
yeah. Just take a shot, see what happens.
I'm not you, Ralph. You could do that. You could hustle people on the golf
Oh
course.
my
I'm not that
goodness.
good. Don Periochi, thanks for the $3. I appreciate it. I think Legend Bowl will be a hit on console. I know. I know. I don't know. It's been you guys got to remember it's been almost it's been like 4.5 years. That's a long, long,
Long
long
time.
time. A long time to not have a job and to be like, and I've
Yeah,
done
the
a
other thing to think about is let's even just say that it is a hit, right? And you do hit 2 million in sales, and you take home like let's just say 500K, right? Just to make the math easy. Then what? Right? You didn't escape the problem, right? Of what to do next because you take home 500K and Legend Bowl, like that gets you a few years.
right. I
Then
mean
what?
that to be honest with you,
You
and
still have this issue of what do you do next?
not to sound spoiled or unappreciative, but that's not a hit. That's actually to me,
For us, that's a hit. For people in our pond, that's a
yeah,
huge hit.
when I say hit, I mean hit. I mean like hit.
Yeah, you want to make AAA money on a
Not
indie
even
game.
AAA, but like let's say like no. And I know it sounds horrible because I don't mean to sound spoiled like that, but I mean when I say a hit, I'm talking more than what I used to make. Because if I made exactly what I used to make, then I've broken even, right? Like if I made
Yeah,
exactly the money I would have made up to now, it's like I just quit my job yesterday. That's what it would
yeah,
feel like. It wouldn't feel like I made this huge hit. Now it's going to feel good that I did this, right? But you know what I mean? Like when I say a hit, I mean like more and a runway more. Like what I've made over the past 5 years of my job plus another 5 years of my job. Like that would be a hit. That would be like, okay, I did something that I can actually like use as a runway. But I know I can't think that way. And I'm not thinking like, okay, well if I don't make that I'm gonna be upset or I'm gonna no, I don't plan on making a fraction of that, right? But I'm just saying if I did make that kind of money, then it would make everything easier. But you're right.
yeah.
If I brought
But they
home,
still have the same question. Then what?
right,
Right? Because
right.
that's not going to last you the rest of your life.
And that's where this whole thing about not working on Legend Bowl or not working on a football game has kind of hit me in the face because it's like that's everything to me. Like football is everything to me, and I love it. And I just went to it, and I've always wanted to work on that, and I can continue working on Legend Bowl till I'm dead.
Yeah.
I know I would like that's an easy way for me to get through this, but it's not the smart way to get through it, you
Yeah.
know? So, anyways, what about you?
Yeah.
Anything with you? We always talk about my stuff. Anything with you that you want to talk about?
No, I think I had a good on Cyber League yesterday. Had a pretty good day. My plan was I was going to do a bunch more videos, gameplay videos on the ladder. But I actually think I I don't even think I need to do any on that. I think that's ready to go. So now we're talking. I just got to get things ready for the beta now. I think I'm moving that up. I'm gonna try to get the beta testing program going in the next week. And then once we're in beta testing, we're getting close. Things are getting close to release day. And then I got to start cracking away on getting the next project set up while we're in beta. So things are moving pretty quick.
How are your
Um,
bugs for the game? Like, are you getting a lot of bugs? I know for Legend Bowl, there's still
I'm
bugs.
at the point now when I play games to test out features, I don't really see bugs anymore. It's things like, oh, that screen, the background's not dark enough. I don't like that the ball bounces 10 times. Maybe I limit the bounces to 5 times. Like the AI is not exactly where I want it. So that's all I'm finding now. It's been quite a while since I found a real big bug, which to me tells me it's time to get beta testers to start playing it because they'll find bugs that I'm just not finding anymore. Um, which is the whole point of having a good beta program. So the quicker I can get to that, I think the better, because then we'll find bugs that I missed, or maybe we won't, and we'll just make some improvements to the game, and we'll be ready for launch.
One thing I learned from making Legend Bowl is because I had it all real time and you had players that
Yeah,
would get tackled and like there was never any warping anywhere. It was
yeah,
always like coded to that that created so many bugs for me and it still does to this date. Like
yeah. See, I'm
I
lucky. I'm using the same engine that I've been using for 2 years now, so I
so it's
should, or
already been
3 years
proven,
or
yeah.
whatever. I've been using this 3 or 4 years,
And
maybe.
that's one thing that you do that I like too, which is probably why you make a lot of football games is because you're
Yeah.
building on tools that you already have.
Yeah, every
So
time I make a new version, I reuse the same engine and then I improve it 10 to 15% every
right,
time.
right. And I'm curious. I'm also curious what you're going to do with or Cyber League because I still think that that's a really cool concept. I think you can get
Yeah.
some people on there, and even though it might not be,
It's going to
like
take a while for people to catch on to it, but I think it could be good long term.
I think it could make you some cash, and you got to remember you have to look at how much time you put into it. So like
Yeah.
Sunday Rivals, if he made half the money I made in Legend Bowl, he's on par with me when it comes to his return, you know?
Yeah.
And so like you have to look at how much time you put into your
Yeah.
game and what you're getting back. And I think for Cyber League, like you've been moving really, really fast part time. I mean,
Yep.
like, dude, like
Part
you're
time. And I think I started in earnest like beginning of February.
see, that's appealing to me. That's where I got to get off my ass and
Yeah.
do
It's a pretty
something.
good game for, whatever, 4 5 months worth of work.
It's a great game for whenever I watch you play it, I say,
It's
man,
fun. I know that.
he's got a game here. He's got like the ladder system. You're going into, the playoffs and you have your menus all set up and everything
Yeah, it's
seems to be
fun.
working
It's
pretty
fun to
well.
play too.
And it's a very small scope. You don't have to worry about franchise mode and,
Nope.
it's
Strictly focused on the casual player who likes football but maybe doesn't want to like invest in the amount of time it takes to play a lot of these football games. You just want to play. You just want to have some fun.
that's where I'm wondering too. Should I dive into Unity? I know
You
you love
should.
Unity. You think so?
Well, then at least we could share code and stuff.
I'll be knocking on your door all day asking you
That's fine.
questions. But
Yeah, I'm not like back when I was a Canuck, Dave would basically any simple question anybody would ask, he would act like he's opening up Fort Knox. He would just like wouldn't even answer simple questions for people. Like, and I'll help anybody make. If I have an answer, I'll help you out. I don't really care.
I would love to make something in Unity. I don't have enough experience. I have to start learning, which I can do.
Yeah. Once you
But
get over the hump, though, it's so easy and it's so fast.
is it
Yeah, it's so fast to just make things. They do all the hard work for you.
3D, man? 3D scares me.
Well,
3D scares
Unity
me.
has a 2D system as well, so you can make 2D projects too.
Yeah, but if I go do, I'm going to stay where I'm at if I'm going to do 2D because I know it enough to where I can do it. But
Yeah.
if I went to Unity, it'd be for me to do something in 3D. And I do think about, which is crazy. I think about making a 3D football game like a Super Mario football, but football, man. I gotta stop thinking about that. It's gonna kill me. It's gonna kill us, man. So what do you got planned for today? Anything else? You gonna work on your game?
Uh, nah, I think I'm gonna do some other stuff. It's finally gotten nice around here. In Minnesota, we basically have 3 weeks of summer,
How's the weather right
so
now? What's
I
the
don't want to
temperature?
waste any of that.
What's the temperature outside?
That's gonna be like almost in the mid 70s, almost 80 today,
That's nice. It's like
something
90.
like
It gets
that.
to like 95 here right now. It's a swamp. Not
Well,
good.
yeah, I mean, you guys get sun down there. Like in Minnesota, we don't get sun.
And the sun
Like we
here
get,
is like we were out yesterday and it's like it feels like you're getting skin cancer just from the minute you go outside.
oh
Like
my God.
it's like that harsh on you, man. It's no fun. So
Yeah, I would
we'll
hate
see.
that.
But I'm gonna come up with some prototypes. I got to do something, man. I got to do
Yeah,
something.
good idea. I think
So,
that'll work.
anyways, we did a show.
Good job. Well, we
Another.
kind of stayed on topic. I mean, that's pretty good. We had a few diversions, but it worked out all right.
These are my live therapy
Live
sessions.
therapy session,
If anybody
right?
wants to watch what it really means to be an indie dev, they should be watching this. And then they're gonna go home and
They're
they're
like, why
gonna
do they need so much therapy? Like, you just wait and see.
every day is a therapy session for me in my brain, thinking about what I'm
I
gonna
know.
do.
I look back on my post Desktop Dynasty 1 videos and I was like, man, I needed some therapy back then.
But you seem to keep yourself pretty upbeat. You know, you keep moving.
Nowadays, yeah.
Yeah, you keep moving. You don't get too bogged down with the daily grind. But you know that job does help. The job
A little
helps. It
bit.
gives you
Yeah, it
some
does.
anchor.
It has helped.
It's hard too, but it gives you an anchor and it gives you something that you can just like, it takes a lot less pressure off the other side of it,
Yeah.
Whereas me, I sit here and I'm like, what am I doing today? Like literally, what am I doing? You know, you're getting paid. You know, you're
Yeah.
getting a paycheck no matter what. And
It's
I'm
true.
just like sitting here trying to figure out what I'm going to do, which is, it's cool. It's all good. Indie game dev life. Legend Bowl is coming out on consoles. I hope it does well. We'll see how it goes. In the meantime, I'm going to work on something. You guys out there who follow me, everybody go check out Sean's channel. I'm approaching almost 5,000 subscribers, which is kind of cool. I know we had
Nice.
like 20 people in here a minute ago. So go check out Sean's channel. Like the
I think
links
I'm
down.
approaching 100,
You're moving up.
something like that. Yeah.
I used to go to your videos when you first would like publish them and there'd be 0 likes. Now when I go to them, I get like 3 or 4 likes before I even
Yeah.
get there. So
I know.
you're making
Get
progress.
dozens of views now.
You're making progress, man. I think you're doing some good things with Cyber League and you definitely should have more subscribers. So everybody who
Yeah.
follows me, if you're watching this, subscribe to him because
Yeah. Be prepared though. My channel is mostly me just going through my process. Right. I don't make videos for the audience. I make them for me to come back and watch because I always forget what I'm doing.
I mean my all my videos as of for a long time now have been Legend Bowl and me just talking
Yeah.
about Legend Bowl. So I mean it's I don't know. A lot of my guys I think came from the all pro football stuff I did.
I think so. Yeah.
And but it's YouTube and we do it for fun. We're not doing it for
Yeah.
views. We're really not. This is just for fun and to kind of connect. And Sean's like my best friend when it comes to like like you're like the guy I talk to more than anybody,
Yeah.
which is weird, right? So and we don't even really know each other that well. Like I've never met you, but maybe one day, you never know.
Yeah.
You should come down to Florida sometime.
Man, I'm not going down there. Get skin cancer. I got delicate Minnesota skin up here.
Well, then I'm not going there, man. It's too cold up there for
To
me. I
find
hate the
somewhere
cold.
nice in the middle,
I
right?
know.
At just the right season.
We'll meet at it. We'll do it.
We'll meet at like
we'll
St. Louis or
we'll
something.
both do a GDC when we make it big one day. We'll
Oh
be doing
yeah.
GDC talks.
We'll do a conference someday. Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear my GDC talk. It's gonna be depressing, man. It's gonna be
Mine's gonna
like,
be amazing.
oh no,
It's gonna be just like a 30-minute stand-up routine.
it's gonna be like how not to lie to people and make yourself sound like you're doing more than what you're really doing, and you're Jesus, you're game
Oh my
dev
God.
Jesus.
See, that's what'll happen. I'll have this stand-up routine all set up. Like I'm gonna do I'll have it like a TED talk, right? Where I'm gonna be all dramatic. And then I'll like do the whole voice thing. And then right before I go on, somebody will mention the Fox Dev guy, and I'll just go out there pissed.
No,
Just
I'll dress up
rant.
as a fox. I'll put a fox costume on, and I'll
Oh my
I'll like
God.
crawl in.
Yeah, so all you guys, this is a good before we leave, everybody here that's listening, if you see the fox in all my games, that's a throwback to the fox. That's my little subtle dig at the Fox Dev guy. Because my wife said that the other day. She's like, "Why is there a fox in the background?" I'm like, "Because it's an inside joke. Like, if you have a fox in your game, then you're game dev Jesus, and you're gonna be a success." So
You-
if you ever see foxes in my game, that's my subtle nod as to if you have a fox in your game, you'll be a success.
I hate Fox games. I'm not doing it.
No, I'm gonna have a fox in every one of my games.
Star Fox
If
is a good
something
game.
else funny happens, I'll have that in my game too.
Well, thank you. Thank you
Oh
for
yeah,
coming on. It's
that's a
12:30
good
my
one.
time. We've been on for like an hour and a half now. It's
Yeah, I think
way
that's
past
plenty.
our time. But
I
thanks
think
for coming
everybody's
on.
left anyways. They're sick of us.
Yeah, we're not that fun. I know I'm not very fun to listen to all day. My problems. Oh, this guy's having problems. He doesn't know what game to make next.
Boo hoo.
I could see
All right.
your whole dev back there. That's nice. Nice little. I thought you were gonna move.
I did, and I moved back.
Oh, you did. You needed some privacy or what?
I moved my office around. And it wasn't just right, so I like this better because I like to use this whiteboard here for my bug list.
Dude, when I got these pictures up here that I bought for Legend Bowl, I took down my whiteboard and I miss my whiteboard so much. I
Oh
don't have
my
any room
god,
for it
it's so
anymore.
good. Like I'm watching a video of my gameplay, and I just sit at the whiteboard and just take notes, and it's the greatest.
Yeah, I miss doing that. And I used to go there to like figure out like whether it be like certain like mechanics I want to do or like how to like come up with some like I had to like draw visuals of like the
Yep.
field or like the angle and I would just
Yeah, this one here is my backyard football whiteboard. So like I have little ideas. Like I said, I sketch out ideas just like so I remember this is what I want to do. And then this is my debug whiteboard.
you know that Apico game I showed you? You saw that
Yeah.
game, right? Like I
Yeah.
can do those graphics. Like we could like that's
Yeah.
not hard to
Of course you
do.
could.
And I like those graphics. Like I want and I thought about making like a like that golf. Remember I told you like you're a groundskeeper, you know,
Yeah.
like you just go around
That'd
and
be
you
cool.
do that Factorio game. I swear you haven't played it, have you?
I think once. It was too complicated for me.
It's dude, it's cool, but you're constantly like working, like you're
Yeah, it was
tapping
too
it,
much for me.
you're tapping your mouse all the time, trying to like you're manually trying to make these widgets basically, and these
Yeah, it
machines.
wasn't
You're putting fuel in machines, you're chopping down trees, you're
yeah.
mining, like minerals or whatever, and I'm just wondering like people like to
Yeah.
sit there and like craft and work on things, and I'm wondering like would a golf groundskeeper guy who has to walk around and maintain holes and like do that
I
kind
think
of
that'd be
work?
cool.
I don't know. Maybe.
Right? And you have AI characters that you either love or hate, and some of them are mean to you and some of them are nice to you, and you
But I also
can have
want to
all
make.
kinds of cool things.
Have you watched the Obi-Wan series yet?
No,
No?
no.
Because you got Star Wars on. I know you like Star Wars stuff, but you should watch it. It's all right. It's starting out slow, but I think about making a space game too, like we've talked about.
I know we always talk about space game.
Like you're just a guy with a gun and a spaceship and you're shooting aliens. That would be cool. I like that.
Yeah, that'd be
So,
cool.
anyways.
All right.
All
I
right.
think that's enough. We're good.
We'll talk. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming
Yeah.
out, everybody. And we'll see you in the next stream. Peace.
Yeah.
Later, guys.